So Morgan, you've been custodian of Drake's Island for 3 months now. How's it been?
Incredibly busy. In that 3 months, I haven't found time to stop. We're having to scope out a major project. Lots of interface with lots of interested parties, statutory authorities, Plymouth City Council, Historic England, all those sort of people. There hasn't really been a lot of time to stop. And from a company point of view, we've had to identify people, the right people to put in our team to make sure that we're going to deliver the project the way we want to deliver it.
In terms of partnerships, what progress have you made to date?
Well, there's been some absolutely staggeringly phenomenal, I'm really pleased about progress with the National Marine Aquarium. That was a chance conversation. I went down to see Roger Maslin, who is the head of the NMA, for people who know that, and just for a cup of coffee to introduce myself and just talk about how we could do it. And it's exploded. We're mapping out a plan at the moment so that 30,000 Plymouth school children can visit the island every year to study marine conservation, marine ecology, that sort of thing. And they've been absolutely phenomenal in terms of supporting us in how to preserve and even expand on the seagrass fields that are out there, look at seahorses, all sorts of marine ecology stuff which we're really interested in, we really want to get involved in, and they are 100% behind us. Their approach is completely pragmatic. Where there's something we might not be able to do from an engineering point of view because it would upset the ecology, that no problem, Morgan, we're straight on it, we'll find a solution. It's incredible. That's if you could get that across the board, this project would be back and running already. The National Marine Aquarium, can't say enough good things about them. And the team over there. The other people, Historic England, absolutely, 100% on board behind us, looking for solutions. Again, an incredibly pragmatic approach. They've been out there, they're looking at things, they're suggesting things, we're suggesting things. It's just, I can't say enough good things about them either. There's some really good people out there.
So in terms of people of Plymouth, what progress have you made to date?
Well, I have to say that when we announced that we're with the new custodians of Drake's Island, the response we got from the people of Plymouth and across the world, to be honest, has been absolutely fantastic. The support is massive. The ideas people have got. I've tried to see, hundreds of people have contacted me through LinkedIn, Facebook, and just generally through other people who know me, have asked for meetings with me. I've tried to meet as many as I can so far. If I haven't got to you, I will get to you because I do want to meet everybody that's expressed an interest. It's been absolutely incredible. There's hoteliers contacted me about ideas that they have with how we can do the accommodation on the island. There's restaurateurs. I've got the Royal Engineers, because of course the Royal Engineers built the island, the Royal Victorian Army Engineers. So they want to do, because one of our things is we want to do a heritage centre out there. By way of a heritage centre, what I mean is a lot of the communal areas, the general areas on the island, lend themselves to lots of small mini museums and exhibitions and things like that. So I want to basically get as many artefacts and photos and documents about the island as possible. That on its own, I've had people, a little guy called Malcolm Harrison, who's an accountant who's got an office down the Barbican, contacting me through his friends. They've collected a number of documents together. There are some absolutely fascinating photos of the island, from starting about when black and white photographs first came out, photography became a thing, which I think is about 1850-ish. I may be wrong, and historians will probably tell me off. But the photos that are coming out are incredible. Some of the things that island's been used for, the history of the island. There's places out there we know are there, but we haven't got to them yet because we need to obviously make sure we've got everything in place to explore. But the people, I can't say enough good things about the people of Plymouth, and we want to get the island open as quickly as possible to everybody.
So, in terms of progress with charities and other organisations, what progress have we made today?
We've been working with a number of charities, talking to them about how we could potentially help them going forward, how in terms of maybe doing visits to the island once we have the safety case in there, sponsorship of various things. We're sponsors on a number of things so far throughout the city, and we're trying to work with as many charities as we can. There's two schools of thought on that. You can either do one charity and just throw everything at that. We are concentrating on certain ones, but trying to spread it around a little bit and talk to them. One of the things we did recently, the Saltram Rotary Club organised a beach clean out there, along with Plymouth Beach Clean organisation. Really good people, really nice people. They came out one Sunday morning. We thought they were going to find loads of crisp packets and plastic bottles. Actually, what they found was lots of fishing nets and tractor tyres. Not quite how a tractor tyre got out there, I don't know, but it was there. And that's been really positive, and something we want to capitalise on and keep working with going forward.
You've talked about having a heritage centre on the island. What's a heritage centre to you?
Well, you asked me, one of my other questions was that how's it been for the first 3 months? A lot of what we've been doing in there is mapping out how a heritage centre could work, and what my idea of a heritage centre is. What we have is a number, you've got the upper tunnels, the upper batteries, gun batteries. There are lots of general areas on the island, little cubby holes, what we call ready magazines, where the shells or the shot and the powder was brought up, but you didn't have the whole lot. So if the island had been hit by an enemy gunfire, then only a small explosion would occur, you wouldn't hit the main magazine. Well, there's lots of little rooms like that. So we're doing anything from, we want to basically recreate the history of the island, going back to 1135 when there was St Michael's Chapel on the island, going forward to St Nicholas's, going forward to the 1606 Tudor fortifications, going forward to the Victorian fortifications. The Royal Engineers were out there, that they actually built it. The Royal Artillery was there manning it. It pains me to say that because I'm Royal Navy and a weapons engineer at that, and I wasn't there, or my mob wasn't there. But those guys are talking to me. I had a guy, he's actually living in Serbia or somewhere like that, who was a former Royal Engineer, who's got a lot of artefacts that he had from a previous museum that he had somewhere for the Royal Engineers, and he's talking to me about, can I create a museum on the island? So my idea of the Heritage Centre is basically to use those general areas to create exhibitions telling the whole story of the island, right through the people who were there, right the way through up to the Second World War and up to date. I mean, there is even the Adventure Training Centre on the island in the 60s, 70s and 80s. Unfortunately, it closed in 89, which is the last time the island was properly used. But that's part of its history. We've got Robin Rickard has done a UXO survey of the island with unexploded ordnance, because it was there were anti-aircraft batteries on the island during the Second World War, and there were potential bombing runs against there. So Robin's done and he's actually gone back and he's actually got pictures from aircraft mapping out the anti-aircraft defences of Plymouth, and it's all in the fascinating report, and some of the history behind that is absolutely fascinating, and therefore we want to tell that. So it might be that one of the ready magazines is used for Second World War. It might be another one is used for the Royal Engineers. Another one is used for the Royal Artillery. That sort of thing. That's my idea. But as much as that I can get. We're talking to a number of people about being tour guides on the island. Again, this massive response we've had from the people of Plymouth. People have come out and said, "How can I get involved?" And it can be anything from, once we get everything approved from Environmental and Historic England, coming out there to do, clearing of brush or something like that, or cleaning up, or just anything like that. But then there's also been a number of people who are amateur historians, well, not necessarily amateur, but historians who really want to be part of it. We probably need the best part of 20 people to be tour guides out there. So when you come onto the island, my idea of the Heritage Centre, so I've just sort of said about having different displays in different areas, but it's much better if you're going around with somebody who knows the history of it and can talk to you and interface with you, and also tell you, answer any questions that you have. So we're talking to those people. I think we've got about 6 at the moment, and there's other people coming online that we're talking to, and it will really want to share that and get it out there with people.
So just looking at site security and safety? How are those plans developing?
Again, as part of the overall package of works that we've been doing, yeah, we've got safety consultants and security consultants working on their parts of mapping out how we're going to do this project. We're paying most of the attention between those two as to safety, because we really don't. We're not going to tolerate any accidents on the island. We've got signs up there. We are going to open the island to the public as soon as everything is in place and everybody agrees that it's safe for us to take people on there. We have taken a few select groups out there so far, just to test out what we can and can't do, and that's been very positively received. But there was a gentleman went out there on the bank holiday weekend on his own, without a mobile phone, and managed to climb up onto the island, which is very difficult to do, but he managed it. But then unfortunately got stuck, and it was just lucky that somebody else heard him crying for help. That the Coast Guard alerted us and came out. So what we're saying to people is that you don't need to go onto the island on your own. Yeah, we are going to get it open to you. You will have the opportunity to get out there, not in the not too distant future. I don't quite want to say exactly when, because there's a number of external sources or external pressures that I need to make sure are addressed, and that we really don't want you going on the island until it's safe. Safety case has been done. Now we're mapping out exactly what we've got to do, what physical structures we've got to put on the island to make it safe, and then we'll get it open as quickly as possible. And then we want people to come on the journey with us. So you'll go out there now, you'll see it in the state it's in at the moment, and then come back and as we improve things, and come back again as we improve something else. So that if you came out 5 or 6 times a year for the next 10 years, you'd be seeing something different every time you came out.
So clearly, it's a huge undertaking for you. But what needs to be done?
Okay, well, the planning permission has been issued for the island, but unfortunately, like with all planning permissions, they have an expiry. There's usually a condition that says you have to start the works within 3 years. That 3 years expires on the 10th of April 2020. So we're up at, you might think, well, we've got plenty of time to start the works and therefore lock in the planning permission. And once you've done that, it's locked in forever. However, in between us and that is 34 pre-commencement conditions. So it means things we have to discharge or address before we can start any physical works on the island, which would then lock in the planning permission. So by the 10th of April next year, we need to get those 34 conditions discharged, addressed, or delayed. There's a number of options that we have on the table, and a number of options the planners have. So long as we get a completely pragmatic approach, like some of the conditions are very difficult to discharge in that time. So we're not going to say we're not going to do them, but we maybe remove it as a pre-commencement condition and put it as something we will do as we go forward, or by a given time. So a lot of people, the approach by a lot of people so far has been completely pragmatic, and they're looking at it, they want us to achieve this. I have to say Plymouth City Council wants us to achieve this, but obviously there's a lot of other interested parties who've got to be consulted and have got to be on board. So long as the approach by all those parties is pragmatic, we'll achieve it, and then we're off and fly. Yeah, and then we move forward a step at a time, and the island will become more and more accessible to the public.
So how are climate emergency and ecological issues going to be considered in development plans?
Okay, they are actually, that's one of our big things is that we want to do. We're talking to a number of, I'm not an expert in this, so I have to rely on expert or opinions of people who are experts. We've engaged with Environmental Plymouth. We're talking to a company called EcoFund Partners about making the island completely powered by renewable energy. That can be anything from solar power to wind power. We're not talking about the big turbines; these are smaller ones, because we've got an issue there with the wildlife with the big bladed turbines. Number one, it doesn't really lend itself to what the island is, and number two, there's a potential danger to wildlife. So we've got to look at that. That's all being taken into consideration. We're working with bird watching groups up and down the Tamar estuary to make sure that what we do doesn't impact on that, and how we then, as what we do and what we create, can create habitats for wildlife. That can be anything from egrets to bats to honeybees. We're talking to a company called, or an organisation called Pollenize, about putting some beehives out there. Not sure. I mean, we're working with their specialists because they're not sure about bees coming over water and things like that. But again, this is where we need to engage with people who know what they're doing, who can work with us to create a solid, ecological friendly island, which then addresses the ecological emergency that we're currently facing, so that the island doesn't do anything in such a way that it would contribute badly to that, but contribute positively. But I need help to do that.
The question we've got here from Amanda is, I have a friend who is really into World War II concreting, I believe he calls it. Will he be able to visit old World War II bunkers that are on the island, please?
Of course. Once we get the island open to the public, once we come through the safety case and everybody's on board that we're happy that we can do that. Yes, there are some World War II installations still on the island which are fully intact, and we have absolutely no plans whatsoever of removing them. We want to preserve them because they're part of the history. They tell the story of the island. There is a control tower on the eastern end, which is an incredibly interesting building. You wouldn't think it with all the Tudor fortifications and the Victorian fortifications. One of the most interesting buildings is a Second World War control tower. So I know exactly what Amanda's friend means because I love it as well. There is Second World War offices under the flag mast that you see out there. There are some other smaller Second World War buildings. There is Second World War anti-aircraft battery mounts. So yes, he would be more than welcome to come out and have a look at those, and I'd love to show him.
Will your end vision be accessible for wheelchair users?
Absolutely. In fact, that was one of the first things I said to the engineers when they started working on the designs or the actual engineering details, is I've got to look at wheelchair access onto the boats that go out there, which I believe the boat owners are addressing at the moment. Then we need to look at disabled access to the jetty system, and then we're talking about a lift to put in a lift system to get people from the jetty up to the top of the island. I don't know that we'll be able to get access everywhere, but I would imagine 80% of the island someone in a wheelchair will be able to see, and I will, if I can get it to 100%, I will. Yeah. But there's obviously, it's a scheduled ancient monument, so there's only certain areas I'm just not going to be able to do that. But absolutely, I want to share this island. The whole point is to share the island with everybody, whatever ability that is. At the moment, to get out there, you've got to be quite physically able. I want to change that so that anybody can get out there.
So the question from Heidi W is, what is the end vision for the island, i.e. nature sanctuary or nature activity business?
Exactly. This is what we're trying to do, and this is why we've engaged with so many people, so many interested parties, about how we do that on the island, how we create the heritage, how we have to make it a commercial enterprise as well because it's got to pay for itself, but how then we make it into an eco-friendly and interesting place for people who are interested in bird watching or marine conservation. I mean, I've already told you about the NMA wanting to create, or what we're looking at is the Second World War concrete buildings below the flag mast, turning that into a research station for the NMA, for Plymouth University, Birmingham University, believe it or not, that we're doing quite an extensive piece of work with them at the moment. They're really interested, and I'm sure as we move forward there will be lots of other people who are interested. We're talking to Pollenize about putting 2 beehive colonies out there. We're talking to a lot of the bird watching interest groups up and down the Tamar estuary about maybe there was an egret roost on the island. It's currently not used by the egrets. They seem to have moved over to Jupiter Point, but we'll create a roost there and maybe put other roosts on the island, so if the egrets want to come back, they can, and they'll be protected so that no one could accidentally stumble across their nest or anything like that.
Morgan, will you be doing anything for the Mayflower celebrations?
Well, we're talking to the Mayflower 400 organisation and a number of other parties, interested parties, who are putting things together for the celebrations. That's very much a work in progress. We're looking at how we can interface with them. We're looking at what we can do ourselves. We've had a big expression of interest from America. So we're looking at what we can put together with them. One of the most interesting ones is Illuminate, which I think most people in Plymouth know about. They were looking to light up, or they are going to light up the sound, and actually they were looking for a connection piece. We've just given it to them, so the details of that are not out yet. We're working on it, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty spectacular and exciting.
There's a question from Heidi F, who says, when will the island be safe and first open to the public?
We're working on that like fury at the moment. If I could do it today, I would. But I have to take consideration of all the environmental issues and above all else, the safety issues. I really don't want someone going on there and getting injured. You've got to remember it's a Schedule H monument. When it was built, HSE wasn't a thing, but we've got to make it safe for people. I'm hoping to do it sooner rather than later. Realistically, once I've got everything in place and all the relevant parties and interesting parties have approved it, we're probably looking at spring, summer next year.
Okay, Morgan, thanks very much for your time. Is there any message that you'd like to give to?
Well, it's not thank you. You know, for my time, I've got to thank the people of Plymouth and all the associated people that are working with us and have shown an interest in the phenomenal support they've given us. Yeah, please keep doing that. If anyone out there, I haven't got to, bear with me. I will get to you. I really value your ideas. I really want you to be part of the journey that we go on the island, and I thank you so much.